Just how much damage did the pandemic cause to the aviation industry? That question and others were discussed at IATA's Caribbean Aviation Day conference in the Cayman Islands, held under the theme Recover, Reconnect, Revive. The conference addressed aviation sustainability, multi-destination tourism, and focused on rebuilding the air transportation sector post-COVID in a competitive way.
The aviation industry is unquestionably in recovery mode, spurred by the removal of the well-intentioned travel restrictions and the vaccine requirements. Here in the Cayman Islands, each time travel restrictions were relaxed, a notable corresponding increase in visitor arrivals were recorded. Other jurisdictions were experiencing similar patterns in their arrivals, showing that travelers' confidence was returning and people were ready to reconnect with loved ones and take the vacations they have been putting off for years. Something I think that we all can agree on is that barring any more pandemics or unforeseen catastrophes, the demand for air travel is very likely to grow over the next few decades. And as air travel rebuilds, sustainability will increasingly become a key focus.
Brian argued that while the sector recovered, it was critical to address both pre-pandemic concerns and possibilities, as well as new issues that had emerged. He emphasized the need to improve regional connectivity, private sector financing and partnerships, and access to funding.
To borrow a phrase from my amazing Director of Tourism, Ms. Rosa Harris, airlift is the oxygen in our tourism industry, which means airlift brings the market to our product, unlike other industries where you take your product to the consumer. As tourism-dependent territories, we would not survive long without airline partners bringing people from all over the world to enjoy the many wonderful experiences that we have to offer within the region. Air connectivity is the cause and the effect of growth of our tourism, and the future is bright.
During the fireside chat segment of the event, economist Marla Ducaran noted that the Caribbean was the most tourism-dependent region and also the most expensive tourism destination in the world. In 2019, the tourism sector contributed a third of the region's GDP, according to the Caribbean Policy Research Institute. Taxes, specifically those associated with inter-regional travel from Barbados, were central to the discussion.
We really have to think very seriously about this tax structure. And what I think we need to look at is making sure that the taxation structure is more progressive, meaning those who earn the most profits from this industry, I don't know who they are, maybe they're the hotels, maybe they're the airlines, I don't know. But we have to find that data. And those who are the most profitable are the ones who need to shoulder a relatively larger share of the taxes than those who are least profitable. And when you are taxing the ticket, you're taxing everybody in the destination equally, regardless of if you're a taxi driver or a five-star hotel. And that doesn't make sense.
When you start to think about, when you disaggregate where the charges go, they're not going to profitability for the destination. They're not going to our consolidated fund as a source of revenue. They're going back into providing the kinds of infrastructure and services that actually benefit the aviation industry. Can they be reduced? Perhaps. Should they be reduced? Perhaps. Will they be reduced? That's possible too. But at the same time, the other side of that is that what Barbados has experienced is that there has to be a balance between asking a destination to remove those charges and to reduce those charges that then contribute to the profitability margins of private sector carriers, which would be the airlines. So how do we find that balance between ensuring that airlines are profitable and they are also able to benefit from the best support mechanisms that are being provided by the destinations? So those are the things that a country like Barbados that has a responsibility, not just for our own domestic travel requirements in terms of our international connectivity, but a responsibility equally for sub-regional travel onto the Eastern Caribbean, for example.
Barbados's tourism minister contended that while modifications to the country's tax system were feasible, there was not enough airlift to compensate for lost revenue. Earlier in the conference, IATA Vice President for the Americas, Peter Serda, warned that the region needed to pay attention to remaining an attractive tourist destination. He said it was not always clear how costs incurred equated to services received. The IATA conference counted among its attendees policymakers, air traffic regulators, representatives of the aviation industry, and other key stakeholders. The next IATA meeting is the World Financial Symposium, to be held in Doha, Qatar.